Hi everyone, we are back at Solana Breakpoint here in Abu Dhabi, and I'm super excited to be joined by Teddy Pornprinya, who's the co-founder of Plume. Welcome to the show, Teddy.
Thank you for having me. How's it going?
Yeah, very well, thanks. So I'd love to talk a bit more about what you're doing at Plume, and then we can go further into kind of where you see the evolution. But tell me a bit more about...
Yeah, of course. So at Plume, we're building an open blockchain that's focused on tokenizing real world assets. We're really focused on three things. One is infrastructure, two is distribution, and three is really creating this DeFi layer to weave everything together. So on the infrastructure side, we've built all different types of products to bring anything on chain, whether it's esoteric data sets, physical assets. But the biggest question we typically get is, when the assets are on chain, how do you find them real buyers and real users? So what we've done differently is, we have a strategic partnerships team that works with different distribution channels. So we integrate our products into custodians, wallets, exchanges, different communities. And that way we can really drive true demand to these different assets that we're bringing on chain. And the third, pillar of what we're focusing on is building this DeFi layer on top of all of our products so that we can have these RWA products basically co-live with different DeFi primitives on chain. And we found that the biggest issue before was that there's a lot of great RWA products, but the on-chain audience is very Web3. So there was a mismatch in how they really consumed it understood what was going on. So we found a way through our Nest product, which we just took to Solana, just announced 2 days ago, basically a way to communicate this in the right way so that users can, buy an RWA asset, use it within DeFi, collateralize on a lending protocol, borrow more against it, and do basic DeFi strategies that hasn't really been exposed in the RWA world before. And so, that's kind of what we're tackling. We've raised money from different TradFi and crypto investors like Brevin Howard, Galaxy Digital, Binance Labs, Han Ventures, and a lot of these folks. And so we've been able to curate an ecosystem where we can create actual retail demand for RWAs with a lot of our institutional partners coming on chain as well. So, right now we're the largest chain by RWA retail users. We have around 300,000 users. The entire vertical only has around like 500K. So we have most of our users on our chain right now. But moving forward, we want to grow on our distribution piece. So, taking Nest to Solana is only the first step, and we want to grow the RWA pie by really bringing RWA assets, our quality assets that can be used within DeFi to the rest of the ecosystem.
I'd love to pick up on so many of the points that you just mentioned. So on the distribution side, particularly retail institutions, where are you seeing the most growth coming from at the moment?
Yeah. So we work with a lot of institutional partners like the Follow team, the Wisdom Tree team. We just announced something with Securitized, the DigiFT team. So we've brought onto Plume a lot of different, private credit assets, treasury assets. These are like opportunities that are very hard to reach, honestly, in the normal world, unless you're like a high net worth individual working with like a private wealth arm in the US. And what we've done is actually put these assets into our Nest vaults, which we can then permissionlessly deploy into, other ecosystems, other partners. And so where we're seeing a lot of the growth right now is basically integrating this product into different wallets, different exchanges. So to give you an example, we just integrated our product into the Ant Group Web3 wallet. So their users can go to the earn section, deposit stablecoins straight into our assets, and we pass the yield back. On the OKX side, we did an integration with them, a few months ago where their users can get access to our yields just by going to the centralized exchange and dropping, stable coins into our vaults. And so we want to basically recreate this, but with a lot of different partners in the ecosystem. So we'll be pushing pretty hard on this, for the rest of the year in Q1, Q2 of next year. But we're basically lining up all of these, I guess you could call it B2B or B2C partnerships to really bring flow into RWAs, because before it was just really hard to really understand like where you would actually go to buy these assets. How do you actually use them within DeFi? And so we want to basically simplify the user experience and really bring, velocity to the vertical.
Totally. I think that so many people were focused on the technology aspect of it, like the how do we do it, that big piece of distribution was missing, wasn't it? You also made a really interesting point, which I want to go more into on the kind of utility aspect and that collateralization piece, because I think that opens up a whole new market. Can you talk more about
of
that?
course. So we're seeing something interesting right now in the US, at least with some of our issuers, where I think the phase one of tokenization was more so to like save money, save on overhead costs, increase transparency, increase accessibility, which is still a thing. But I think the phase two of what we're seeing now is a lot of issuers looking to make money. So they're looking at how to take, for example, this flow is happening on chain where you can like buy into like a Wisdom Tree Nest vault or an Apollo Nest vault, take that LP token, collateralize it on Morpho on Plume, borrow more stable coins against it, and then deposit it into another RWA vault. And then you can repeat this looping cycle to basically farm and increase your yield on your assets. But the underlying assets are just RWA. So it's not as volatile and as dangerous as if you were doing it within DeFi. And so I think this kind of use case that we've created was something, you know, our team has been building for a very long time. And it's great to see it finally proliferate on chain. You know, we have, I think, a little bit over like 50 mil borrow demand right now for these types of assets. You know, I mentioned earlier about the RWA wallet users. All the RWA retail flow is for this use case. I mean, without this, then, you know, you would probably just buy an asset. You would just sit in your wallet. You wouldn't do much with it, right? And that's more of like an LP institutional perspective versus now we can give use cases to on-chain folks so that, you know, they would actually understand and they can, you know, make more money from it. And right now, I think RWAs are really taking the center stage, especially with everything that's going on in DeFi. The market's not doing as well. RWAs are always consistent on correlated yields, paid back in stable coins. So right now, it's definitely the time to shine. I think the regulatory window has opened up. You know, we just did a bunch of announcements in the region as well in UAE.
Congratulations, saw that in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, we just got our commercial license with, in the ADGM area. We, you know, just finished our program with Hub 71 as well. So we really want to grow more globally. I think we are the only RWA project right now that's really taking this from a global perspective. You know, we're headquartered in the States. We do a bunch in Asia. But now, you know, being here and being through this program at Hub 71, we really do see the true growth potential in the UAE region as well, which is why we're here today.
Yeah, no, it's excellent decision, by the way, to come to Abu Dhabi. Just one last quick question. Where are you seeing on the actual asset part of that discussion, so the real world assets, where are you seeing the most demand and supply for the assets?
Yeah. I think right now we're seeing a lot of flows into the more blue chip type products from, like, you know, the more institutional names that people understand. There's another product on Nest actually that's kind of a good blend of DeFi and RWAs. It's a vault that consists of a basis trade strategy that we tokenized from the Superstate team, and then 20% of that vault is also like a T-bill strategy as well. So the yields are high enough where the math makes sense, where if you buy into this vault, you can collateralize it and borrow, because the math doesn't make sense. For example, if it costs like 10% to borrow, but you're only making 6%, then you'll be losing money, right? So a lot of the times we need to kind of curate these different strategies. And thankfully we've been around for a while where, like, we have almost every, you know, asset in the market that you could think of on the supply side. So it's more so now just getting our, you know, ears to the ground and understanding what these investors and buyers would actually want to do with these assets. And then we can kind of, you know, put the ingredients together and just, you know, whip up something that, you know, they would actually like to invest in and use within our ecosystem.
Amazing. Well, it's really great to hear that you're considering all parts of that chain and that ecosystem. So it's been absolutely fantastic. And thanks so much for coming.
Thank you for having me as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.